tough women in history you probably never heard of. So enough with the cutie pie, Barbie doll looking last, because today we will be talking about real life badass women who rolled up their sleeves and did more than a man's job. Number 1. The Night Witches. The Night Witches were the 588 Night Bomber Regiment who bravely endured freezing temperatures, dark skies, and a hail of bullets to drop more than 23,000 tons of bombs, and subsequently to help until the end of World War II. Though women were barred at the time from combat, Major Irena Sendler used her position and personal contacts with the Soviet leader Joseph Stalin to obtain permission to form female combat units, and so the unit was formed. The strategic attack of the night bombers involved the idling of the engine near the target area and letting it glide to the bomb release point with only wind noise to reveal their presence. German soldiers likened the sound to broomsticks and hence named the pilots Night Witches. Nazi troops were so terrified of these all-female Russian fighter pilots who bombed Nazi targets at night. It was the most highly decorated female unit in the Soviet Air Force, with many pilots having flown over 800 missions by the end of war, and 23 having been awarded the Hero of the Soviet Union title. And by the way, they did it in a wood and canvas biplane, which means a stripped-down plywood airplanes. Number 2. Mariya Oktyabrskaya. Mariya was a Russian woman Soviet tank driver and mechanic who fought on the Eastern Front against Nazi Germany during World War II. To avenge her husband who was killed fighting in 1941, Mariya sold her possessions to donate a tank for the war effort and requested that she be allowed to drive it. With permission from the Soviet Union, she hunted Nazis using her own tank, which she named Fighting Girlfriend. She proved her ability and bravery in the battle that she was promoted to the rank of sergeant. After she died of wounds from battle in 1944, she was posthumously made a hero of the Soviet Union and the Soviets' highest honor for bravery during combat. Number 3. Nellie Bly. Elizabeth Seaman was an American journalist, industrialist, inventor, and charity worker famous for her record-breaking trip around the world in 72 days. Eventually, she adopted the pen name Nellie Bly to carry out an undercover mission as an investigative journalist in 1880s. She pioneered a new kind of investigative journalism and became widely known for infiltrating an insane asylum on Blackwell's Island in New York to expose the unfair treatment that patients endured. As part of her act, Bly checked herself into a boarding house for women. She spent the next few days roaming corridors, muttering incoherently and generally acting mentally unbalanced. It didn't take longer for her to find herself committed. Her reporting led to the New York City government shelling out more money to improve conditions for the mentally ill. The movie 10 Days in the Madhouse is based on her life and legacy. Number 4. 𝗙𝗔𝗦𝗢𝗙.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of PanAm and the entire crew, it's a pleasure to welcome you on board Clipper Flight number 73 to Karachi.
Neerja was the senior flight purser on PanAm 747 Empress of the Seas, which was hijacked at Jinnah International Airport in Karachi by 4 armed men from the Abu Nidal organization. During the hijacking incident, she helped the 3-member cockpit crew escape in order to ground the plane so it could not be flown. 𝗏𝗏 hid the passports of passengers so the hijackers could not determine the passengers' nationalities. She also managed to open the emergency door, assisting a number of passengers to escape from the plane. As the hijackers opened fire on passengers and crew, 𝗙𝗔𝗦𝗢𝗙 lost her life, shielding 3 children from bullets. She was posthumously awarded bravery medals from India, Pakistan, and United States. Number 5. Buffalo Calf Road Woman. Buffalo Calf Road Woman, nicknamed as the Brave Woman, was the 19th century northern Cheyenne warrior who strategically fought and rallied the Cheyenne warriors, eventually winning the battle. During the Battle of the Rosebud, the Cheyenne and Lakota, allied under the leadership of the Crazy Horse, had been retreating. and they left her brother on the battlefield. Suddenly, Buffalo Cap Road woman rode out onto the battlefield at full speed and grabbed up her brother, carrying him to safety. Her courageous rescue caused the Cheyenne to rally, and they defeated General George Crook and his forces. In honor of the Buffalo Calf Road woman, the Cheyenne called the Battle of Rosebud the fight where the girl saved her brother. While little is known about her life, she is considered to be one of the most heroic fighters in American history. Number 6. Hedy Lamarr. Hedy Lamarr was an Austrian-American actress and inventor who pioneered the technology that would one day form the basis for today's Wi-Fi, GPS, and Bluetooth communication systems. She was seen mostly in films like Samson and Delilah and The White Cargo, and because of her beauty, the society has completely ignored her inventive genius. She created an upgraded stoplight and a tablet that dissolved in water to make a soda. However, her most significant invention was engineered as the United States prepared for the World War II. In 1940, Lamarr and George Antheil began to tinker with ideas to combat the Axis powers. They came up with a new communication usable for guiding torpedoes to their targets in war. The system involved the use of frequency hopping among radio waves with both transmitter and receiver. Years later, Lamarr was awarded for her invention. Although she died in year 2000, Lamarr was inducted into National Inventors Hall of Fame for the development of her frequency hopping technology in 2014. She was credited for co-inventing a radio signaling device dubbed as the secret communication system, and it's crucial of how we communicate wirelessly today. Now, she is dubbed as the mother of Wi-Fi and other wireless communication like GPS and Bluetooth. Number 7. Edith Cavell. Cavell was an English nurse who treated and saved the lives of soldiers from both German and the British side without discrimination during World War I. She helped 200 Allied soldiers escape from the German-occupied Belgium, for which she was arrested and accused of treason by the Germans and sentenced her to death by firing squad. The night before her execution, she said, "Patriotism is not enough. I must have no hatred or bitterness towards anyone." Her execution received worldwide condemnation and extensive press coverage. Number 8. Simone Segouin. Simone Segouin is a former French resistance fighter known as 𝗙𝗏𝗏𝗎𝗍. She was a French teenager who bravely fought on the front lines against German occupiers. She was only 18 years old when she helped capture 25 Nazis during the fall of Chartres in her small village in south of Paris. As a resistance fighter, she was involved in armed action against enemy convoys and train attacks against enemy detachments, acts of sabotage, including blowing up bridges and derailing trains. She was present at the fall of the Chartres on August 1944 and at the liberation of Paris, and was then promoted to lieutenant. She was awarded the Cross of War, and a street was even named in her honor. Number 9. Khutulun. You don't earn the title the wrestler princess by not being a badass. Khutulun is Genghis Khan's great-great-granddaughter. She helped her father in terms of military strategy during the decline of the Mongol Empire. By the time Khutulun turned 20, her father was the most powerful ruler in East Asia, and she herself was a recognized great warrior. Her prowess and aptitude for the military tactics made her father often sought her advice over that of her 14 brothers. When Marco Polo encountered Khutulun, he immortalized her skills in his work, describing her as the hawk on the battlefield. He even writes, saying, sometimes she would quit her father's side and make a dash at the host of the enemy and seize some man thereout and carry him to her father. Number 10. Irena Sendler. Sendler was a Polish humanitarian, social worker and nurse who served in the Polish underground resistance during World War II in German-occupied Warsaw. During the war, she pursued conspiratorial activities such as rescuing Jews, primarily as part of the network of workers and volunteers, mostly women. Sendler participated with dozens of others in smuggling Jewish children out of the Warsaw Ghetto, and then providing them with false identity documents and shelter with willing Polish families or in orphanage and other care facilities, saving those children from the Holocaust. The German occupiers suspected Sendler's involvement in the Polish underground, and in October 1943 she was arrested by the Gestapo. She managed to hide the list of the names and the locations of the rescued Jewish children, preventing this information from falling into the hands of the Gestapo. Withstanding torture and imprisonment, Sendler never revealed anything about her work and the location of the saved children. Number 11. Nancy Wake. Wake was a New Zealand nurse and a journalist who joined the French resistance and later the Special Operation Executive during World War II. In 1940, the Nazis invaded Belgium, the Netherlands, and France, but instead of leaving her home, Nancy stayed in Paris and joined the French resistance. For 2 years, she worked as couriers for the resistance and later became part of an escape network to get Allied soldiers back to safety. In 1943, when Gestapo became aware of her activities, she fled France. Her husband, who stayed behind, was later arrested and executed. Wake found her way to England and was accepted for training by the British Special Operation Executive. In April 1944, she was among those who were parachuted into France. Her main objective was to locate local bands of the Maquis and to provide them with ammunition and arms that being dropped by the parachute by the Royal Air Force 4 times a week. Nancy was tasked with helping the resistance to prepare for the armed uprising that was due to coincide with the D-Day landing. She also led a raid against the Gestapo headquarters in Montaucun and a German gun factory. She became the Gestapo's most wanted person and the Allies' most decorated service women. So here goes the rundown of badass women whose bravery, skills, and daring feat worth a mark in history. Though there are many other notable women in the history that made significant works, let's reserve them for the future discussions. And if you love facts and interesting videos, please subscribe and be a part of our growing channel.